drop out, Billy, if that's all right with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Welcome everyone to the March Council meeting. Could we please stand for the opening prayer and original custodian statement? Almighty God, grant to this council wisdom, understanding and sincerity of purpose for the good governance of this city. Amen. And council acknowledges the Pigwurrong and Currawong peoples of the Maar Nation, the land, waterways and skies within the Warrnambool municipality, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Thank you. Please be seated. We'll now move on to item 2, apologies. There are no apologies this evening, and we would like to welcome Councillor Edis all the way from Vietnam. Confirmation of minutes. Can we have a move that the minutes of the scheduled meeting held on the 3rd of March 2025 be confirmed? Councillor Jelly. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. No questions or issues with them? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Now move on to item 4, declarations of conflicts of interest. Would anyone like to declare any conflicts? No. We'll move on to item 5, the mayoral presentation. It's been a big month, and we've got some exciting things coming up. The federal election is well underway, and the Southwest Alliance is holding a candidates forum on the 23rd of April out at Deakin University from 6 p.m. So we'll have all the candidates there. Hopefully everyone can make it down. It'll also be streamed on a range of council websites and some press as well. It was great to see King's College actually welcomed 19 Japanese students to Warrnambool at the start of March, and it was really great to actually welcome them to our city. They had an amazing trip while they were over here for 2 weeks. And Dairy Australia also picked Warrnambool to have the Dairy Australia conference, which was out of the Matilda Room, and the opening night it was great to actually get down there and open it at the Art Gallery as well earlier in the month. And it was great to see the Gardner Foundation and Dairy Australia, bringing so many. I think there was over 150 at the conference, so that was really, really good as well. And as council, we've been busy as well. We spent 3 days down at Spring Street. Well, most of us did. And it was really great to get around, talk to some department secretaries, talk to some of our local MPs as well. And I'd really like to thank our local members, Bev MacArthur, Jacinta Emacora, Roma Britnell, Sarah Mansfield, and Gail Tierney for taking the time to meet with us. It was really good, and we got some of our issues out on the table. So that was a really worthwhile trip as well. We'll now move on to item 6, the public question time. Mr. Mason, do we have any questions?
Thank you, Mayor. We do have one question. The question is from Matthew Roberts, who is from South Melbourne. Mr. Roberts is not attending the council meeting today and has asked that his question be read out, which I'll do now. The Municipal Association of Victoria was concerned that decriminalising sex work would lead to an unmanageable number of complaints about sex work. In the first year after sex work was decriminalised, Warrnambool City Council received 3 complaints about sex work. Does the council believe that it has enough resources to be able to adequately respond to 3 annual complaints about sex work? So my response is council currently has sufficient resources to manage these complaints. In the broader sense, council remains concerned about cost shifting from state government to local government where there is no resources provided to support that cost shifting. That remains a broader concern, but certainly in terms of managing the issues that Mr. Roberts refers to, we are managing them sufficiently.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. We'll now move on to item 7, reports, and item 7.1, the Council Expenses Policy 2025. Mr. Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. This report presents an updated Council's expenses policy for adoption. The policy consolidates 3 existing policies, the Council Expenses Policy, Council Resource and Facilities Policy, and the Council IT Equipment and Conditions of Use Policy. We've brought those 3 policies into a single document for ease of use and to ensure that councillors are able to refer to it easily. The recommendation before you, councillors, is to adopt the policy and revoke the 3 existing policies.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions on that? Do we have a mover? Councillor Walsh.
Thanks, Mayor. I move the recommendation as noted.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. Important things are policies, and this one is really, really important from a transparency perspective. Also, with the, I guess, the reduction from 4 down to 1, you know, that reduces some red tape and administrative work to make sure that these things are updated. So, you know, I think it's really good, and yep, let's get it done and run.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Arnott.
Yes, as Councillor Walsh has said, and as CEO, it just simplifies the process. Good for transparency. I'll just take note there that the training budget for councils has altered, and so instead of $3,000 per annum allowance, it's gone to $14,000 per councillor per term, which does allow greater flexibility for training issues regarding the councillors. And just to touch on to the travel requirements, we're removing the need for council resolutions, so we're just looking at CEO approval, but we're still maintaining approval for international travel. So thank you.
Thank you.
To support.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Walsh, do you wish to add anything?
Nothing further to add, Mayor. Thank you.
We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.2, the revised community engagement policy. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. Council is required to have a community engagement policy. The engagement policy sets out how council will do the important work of meaningfully engaging with our community. And it's recommended, obviously, it would be good practice for us to go out and engage on the council engagement policy, so that's the recommendation before you.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, Mayor, I'll move that the council release the draft community engagement policy 2025 for community feedback.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jalley. Councillor Ziegler.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, look, community engagement is critical, and we, as a council, have been over the past term and into this term, have been trying to improve the communication policies, the transparency and efforts to make sure that the residents know what council business is happening. And we've been asking for council community feedback on very, very many topics, but still occasionally we hear of residents saying, no one told me. We still hear of situations when there hasn't been feedback to a resident's complaint. Hopefully this draft community engagement policy will improve that when it comes back from community feedback. It's an opportunity for the community to actually talk about the way that council communicates. I'm pleased to see that it still includes areas which don't involve IT and antisocial the antisocial websites and things. I think that it's important that people still have the opportunity to operate communication with the council via the telephone and by correspondence rather than emails and those social platforms. I'm happy to move that it goes out for community feedback, and I urge people to actually give us feedback.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Jalley.
Thank you. Yes, agree with many of the points Councillor Ziegler has put forward. It is an update and review. It's a legislated policy that we must do, and yes, in the last 5 or 6 years, this has improved a lot and continues to improve. Again, we ask the community to look at it, give us your feedback, because, after the fact is too late. But take this opportunity, let us know what you think, as we ask with many other things, when we ask for you to have your say. This is really important, and look forward to hearing back any comments from interested community members.
Thank you, councillor Jelly. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Arnott.
Yes, agree with my fellow councillors. One thing I just want to point out that's been probably the most significant acknowledgement in the new revised plan has been the Gender Equality Act and how the consultations must occur, and we must meet our obligations under the Act. It's a very important lens to pass over all these policies, so more than happy to support it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Arnott. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ziegler, do you wish to add anything to close?
No, I suppose that the one comment I can make is that we have to be more conscious of the fact that some isolated areas of council action, and just as a pure example, say the Harrington Road development, for example, we notified the people immediately across the road from that development, but the rest of the community didn't hear about the development and were very upset about that. We have to be conscious of how far the reach of some of our decisions go into the community, and I think that this community engagement policy actually addresses that. It does ask us to be more aware of where the communication must go. So I think that's really important.
Thank you, councillor Ziegler. With no further speakers, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.3, the promotional roundabout banner policy. Mr Mason.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Apologies, councillors, but there was a slight administrative error in the last time we presented this report, in that the old policy was attached and therefore adopted. So just in terms of transparency and good governance practice, we're putting it back up to ensure that the correct policy is formally adopted.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to move the recommendation as noted.
Thank you, councillor Walsh. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Benter. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. As Mr Mason touched on, good governance is good and good for everyone, so happy to note and make publicly available the policy, the correct version of the policy. So, yep, good practice.
Thank you, councillor Walsh. Councillor Benter, do you wish to add anything? Any other councillor wish to speak? We'll now put, councillor Walsh, you don't want to add anything?
Nothing more from me, Mayor. Thank you.
We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Now move on to item 7.4, the use of artificial intelligence policy. Mr Mason.
Thank you, through council, Mayor. Artificial intelligence is an important issue for society and organisations more broadly. As councillors would be aware, the previous council adopted an AI policy in 2024, and we were one of the first councils in the state to do that. That policy had a short expiry time on it, given it was new business and new and in a rapidly evolving field. So there's been a review of the policy. We think that the policy adds important criteria and decision-making for the organisation in an area that continues to rapidly evolve and change, and we're recommending that council adopt the attached use of artificial intelligence policy.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
I'd like to move that council adopt the attached use of artificial intelligence policy 2025.
Thank you, councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, there's no doubt that AI is used just about by everyone in society all the time, but as a council we need to be very aware of safety and personal information, sensitive information, And this policy includes updates to definitions and terminology, and it distinguishes between AI systems and internal AI systems. So I think this policy is a must that we must have, and happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Ziegler.
Yeah, given that AI is changing on a daily and if not hourly basis, our policy has got to reflect the fact that it's such a flexible area. And I think that it's just timely that we do address this appropriately.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. Just echoing the comments of others, AI is very hot in the community at the moment, and very much the broader community. So I commend the council for being on the front foot around AI. I think we've got a good cadence in which we review this policy 12 monthly. It is rapidly changing environment. It's a great environment, and you can have a lot of gains in using AI with some really strong criteria and boundaries in which you use it. And I think this policy goes a long way to do that. So I'm looking forward to what can be done using that and what sort of efficiencies we can get in some of those more menial tasks that maybe don't require so much input from people, and we can focus on the things that are really important, that we really need to do.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Any other councillor wish to speak? And I'd just like to add as well that AI is changing the way that we are doing everything. And I think everyone's seeing that more and more. You've got your chat GTPs. There are so many things, and I'm sure we read them on a daily basis, and we don't even know they're actually written by a computer. They weren't written by a human. And this is real, and it's something that is going to streamline and make things faster and more efficient, not just for councils, but for businesses and companies across the country. But there has to be clear guidelines on and governance around how this is actually used, how your data is actually put in there, who actually has access to the data. And at the end of the day, it's and I think this policy in this iteration does a good job of that, is that there is still accountability by individuals, and that's key towards everything we do with AI, because even though you've got a machine or a computer generating it, there has to be accountability at a human level at the end, because without that it gets lost. And it's so important, especially when you look at an organisation like council, when we hold data on nearly every citizen in Warrnambool plus more, everyone needs to know that that's safe and that is governed correctly, and that's really an important part of this policy. Councillor Arnott, do you wish to add anything to close?
No, thanks, Mayor.
All right, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. We'll move on to item 7.5, Planning Scheme Amendment, North of the Merri Development Contributions Plan. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. This report recommends that Council adopt and submit for approval to the Planning Minister a planning scheme amendment. The purpose of the planning scheme amendment is to make a number of changes to the North of the Merri Development Contributions Plan. These changes are necessary to ensure that the plan remains affordable, importantly, but also current. So a recommendation in two parts before you.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. I note, and I'm happy to move the recommendations as noted within the
Thank you,
agenda.
Councillor Walsh. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Oh, sorry, Councillor Edis. Sorry.
There we go.
Sorry, Councillor Edis. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. As Mr Mason touched on, some crucial kind of changes to this development plan, in particular around the power lines, which was a significant cost increase from when it was initially put together. So, happy for this one. I think it's a good approach. It's definitely a growth area in that extension from the life from 10 to 25. Make sure that we're positioning ourselves well from a development standpoint. So I'm absolutely happy to recommend this one. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Edis.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make the note that it would be a lot neater to have underground services, given that overhead power lines at a new estate can look unsightly, but given the cost implications from when these were first costed, everything's gone up through COVID and onwards, and the implications of not changing to overhead power lines will significantly alter the project and result in sort of not being fit for use and not have the flow throughout the subdivision. So again, as per Councillor Walsh, happy to recommend.
Thank you, Councillor Edis. Any other councillor wish to speak? I'd just like to add too that this really highlights the challenges, especially the Rural Regional Council, the developer contribution plans, and it is having on estates, especially when you look at the costings on these. You know, it goes back, 10, 15 years, and it really does highlight the need for external funding. Like, as a council, we've been given housing targets, but without supporting infrastructure, we're never going to be able to reach those targets. And the only way we're going to be able to do that, especially in rural regional, where when it comes to a square metre of land, our land's cheaper than in a metro setting. So being a rural regional, without external funding from state and federal government to be able to enable housing, we're not going to be able to meet housing targets because we won't have the infrastructure there in the neighbourhoods that we want to be able to have. And we've got a different demographic being a rural regional as well. There's a lot who aren't looking for that condensed, high density living. Greenfield site space, that's the payoff from being away from a lot of service, from being away from services you get to metro level, but living in a rural regional area, you get that idyllic, larger block with a backyard. And the only way we're going to be able to achieve that is through state and federal investment, especially in our area with lower housing values. If we continue to see this and all of this funding is actually expected to be coming from developers and effectively buyers of these blocks of land, this is going to stagnate housing growth and development because our blocks are going to become unaffordable. So we really need to be able to provide those services. Councillor Walsh, do you wish to add anything to close?
Nothing further, Mayor.
All right, we'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, passed unanimously. We'll move on to item 7.6, the Planning Advisory Committee terms of reference. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. The Planning Advisory Committee is an existing committee. Prior to starting an expression of interest process to recruit some new members, we have done a review of the terms of reference so that people know what they're getting, what they're signing up for. And it's recommended that Council adopt the revised terms of reference.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Were there any questions? Do we have a mover?
Yeah.
Councillor Benter.
Yes, I'd like to move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Benter. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Councillor Benter.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, as a current chair, I'm great to see the revised terms. It'll give it a bit of a freshen up to hopefully encourage more engagement from the members on the committee and increase the participation, which is all committees, advisory committees have suffered in the past. I personally am, like I said, I'm currently on the chair. I was also a member last year before I got onto council, and I found it valuable currently and in the past with the knowledge that comes to that table with the members, which is a vast of experience. And to have that insight to also to bring into the chamber when we've got to make decisions and discuss items, are extremely valuable. With that saying, the current term is up for the existing members, and I'd like to thank them for their effort and commitment and their put in for the last 4 years.
Thank you, Councillor Benter. Councillor Arnott.
I think Councillor Benter has signed off pretty well on all of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Any other councillor wish to speak? And yeah, as Councillor Benter said, a big thank you to all the members for their time. Nothing further to add, Councillor Benter?
No, that's all. Thank you.
We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, passed unanimously. Now move on to item 7.7, the Advisory Committee and Reference Group reports. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. The Cycling Reference Group is another one of our reference groups, and it recently met on the 5th of March, and we're submitting the meeting records for council to receive.
Thank you, Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to move the recommendation as noted within the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor. As the council representative on the cycling reference group, it was my first meeting back on the 5th of March. Some very interesting discussions, some really good things happening in that sort of cycling pedestrian movement sort of space. So should get some really good gains out of that. We've got a great bunch of members in there, so looking forward to the next meeting and seeing what we can bring back.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, given that we've just spoken about a couple of the advisory groups and reference groups, the cycling and the planning, I think it's very important that we take note of the material that comes out of these reference and advisory groups so that council actually uses that, the advice that comes from these committees, otherwise the committees are pointless.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? And I would like to add, and even late last term before you took over as chair, Councillor Walsh, it has actually been really good to see the cycling reference group, and they've got a key list of advocacy projects that they're looking for funding to be able to really try and deliver, you know, the pump track, the off-road cycling circuit, you know, and looking at traffic around East Warrnambool. It's a really encompassing group that's really trying to do great things about different ways of getting around our city, and I think it is really important. Do you wish to add anything to close?
Nothing further, Mayor. Thank you.
We'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. I'll now move on to item 7.8, the informal meeting of council. The records of the informal meeting of councils, there was 4, it was a long month this month. Are there before anyone? Did anyone have any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Jelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that the record of the informal meetings of council held on the 11th, 17th, 24th and 31st March 2025 be received.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. A seconder, Councillor Ziegler. No one wishes to speak. Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. We'll now move on to item 7.9, the Mayoral and Chief Executive Officer Council Activities Summary Report. The report's there. We've had a fair bit on the last month, and thank you to everyone who's filled in as well. Did anyone have any questions on that? Do we have a mover? Councillor Jelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to recommend that we ratify that the Mayoral and Chief Executive Officer Council Activities Summary Report be received.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Walsh. No one wishes to speak. We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Now move on to item number 8, notices of motion. Mr Mason.
None have been submitted.
Move on to item 9, general business. Did anyone have any items of general business they wish to raise this evening? And item 10, urgent business, Mr Mason.
None submitted.
And just before we close the meeting, I'd like to wish everyone a really safe and happy Easter. Look out on the roads, especially if you're visiting loved ones, and have a great Easter season and short week with Anzac Day as well. It's going to be a nice end of April. So that's a close of the meeting at 6:14.